round 1 and round 2. I'm usually pretty good.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, I can't go back to back.
Yeah.
Oh, we should say that for the Patreon, folks. There was some deep internal inside, man love, secret agent shit right there, Cyber.
That was.
And you didn't even pitch in. Everybody else flushed their shit right out except you.
I wonder why.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Too busy at the Lumina foot and body massage.
Yeah, too many of those massage parlors, Anyways, folks, welcome back to the live stream. Technical difficulties have brought us back to you guys, and we don't know who caused it, but we're just gonna say technical difficulties happen. But where we were at, folks, here in the review, but we were talking with all the individuals about the kind of the short section, the kind of the middle section of the film. We were at Jeff to talk about his portion of that. You were asking a question, sir, about something before we got cut off. What was your question again?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, just as the sort of the age contrast, I guess, right? In the 90s, just to to keep change my question up a little bit, flip it around. What happened to Joey Lauren Adams? Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, she was basically, wasn't she promoted as one of the top tier or top billed actors in the film, other than Doherty? I mean, obviously I know about her from 90210, and like Jason Lee seemed really good with Jeremy London. Like, why what happened with Jeremy London? Why didn't he play out? You know what I'm saying? Obviously, Jason Lee made out pretty well, right? Eventually. I'd say, it's like you said, Cyber. It's almost like a sort of like 90s ensemble, I guess, cast, you could say, or mid 90s or early 90s. But yeah, at the same time, I can't remember the last time that I saw really anything Joey Lauren Adams was good in, except for like maybe Big Daddy.
Yep. So you got to remember, at this time, Joey Lauren Adams and Kevin Smith were dating at this time. They actually officially didn't break up till after Chasing Amy. And so that's the reason why she was in this film, because he was dating her at the time and he liked what she brought. And so at the same time, Joey Lauren Adams, actually, she's popped up in several things over the years since the late 90s, early 2000s, but just in bit parts. She's never been really a leading lady to begin with. So a lot of the things she's in, she's a character actress. That's what she does. And so if you look up her filmography, which I was looking at it earlier today, she's most recently, she's been in things in 2019, 2022. I mean, she's done a lot of stuff in the teens, in the early 2000s as well. Like I said, she does a lot of like little bit parts in film. She's just not a main, like the main actress that you're looking for, like that lead lady. So if you don't look for those little minor characters, you're not going to really see a lot of these actors, because that's what a lot of them have done. Same thing with Jeremy London. He's the same thing. He's done a lot of little bit characters over the years, and he's taken time away from being the films too, just like pretty much all these actors have done. They kind of have that area where they kind of go downhill with their acting, and before they get kind of a brought back type of deal. But Jeremy London's had a lot of like issues with the law and with mental health and stuff like that. So that's why you really haven't seen him in too much things. But he has popped up in things and had a lot of different like little bit parts and stuff like that. He's unfortunately, he's the one that I think it was about 10, 15 years ago. He said he was kidnapped at gunpoint when he was in a cab, and like he said that he was kidnapped and all this kind of stuff and disappeared for a few days and stuff like that. And so ever since then, he's kind of, he's had to work on kind of getting his credentials back up with that and stuff like that. So because of that too, is kind of why you really haven't seen Jeremy London very much. But a lot of these actors, they have just done a lot of bit things. They're just not like mainstream lead.
I never saw Chasing Amy, so I guess probably that would be a big part, probably too. Guys, I imagine probably is having that other piece, right?
Yeah, she was the lead actress in that one because it's basically the stories about Ben Affleck, Jason Lee, and her, and how she's like a lesbian, but Ben Affleck's in love with her, and they kind of end up having a relationship type of deal. So, I mean, she was the lead actress in that. She had some lead roles in other things, but yeah, I mean, like I said, a lot of these actors and actresses, they're bit players. They're not main lead actors, unlike, except for the exceptions of Jason Lee, Ben Affleck. They have gone on to have more lead roles because they just have become more popular. But I would say a lot of these people, to kind of get where you're going with, is that you're not going to see them unless you're looking for them, is basically how they ended up.
Did you guys get laid at the mall back in the day? Is that what happened at the mall? Did you get laid there?
I've never had sex at the mall. No.
No.
No, Alan? Not your skateboarding days?
No, I didn't. Honestly, I wasn't the skateboarding type. I wasn't the mall type, period. Because I go to the mall when I lived by the beach, so I'd go to the ocean instead of going to the mall. But a lot of people, that was their thing, was let's go to the mall. It was, and I think it was a lot of young guys wanted to go to the mall because that's where they could go and see girls and smoke cigarettes. And I didn't hide that from my parents. I smoked.
Me neither. I did the same thing.
13, I was smoking in front of my parents.
Me too. 14 years old. Same thing. I would drink, smoke right up.
So I didn't have that issue.
But,
but it was a big thing in the 90s. Yeah.
Where's this located at, Cyber guys? Where's it located? Where's it supposed to be geographically? I never. Did they even say that in the film? Because see, where I lived in upstate New York, our mall wasn't like multi-story or whatever, whatnot. It wasn't until I went to California on vacation one time, like in the late 90s, right before 2000. I went to California. I have family in Oakland, and I did New Year's in Los Angeles. And I'd never been to a 7-story mall or whatever, whatnot. I got lost there.
Yeah, I don't know where.
Cyber, I'm sure you can understand with me, right? I had no idea that there were actually malls that had like multiple. I mean, it was one thing to go into JCPenney and have like a.
I mean, I would have thought it was California. Not really. I mean, was it?
Nah, I didn't have a California vibe to it, did it?
Yeah, I believe, if I remember correctly, they filmed in Philly. If I remember correctly, that's where they ended up finding this empty mall. But I do believe it's supposed to be California that the movie is set in.
Okay.
Because California, we had all of our malls were double storied. So that's what we're used to. That's what I'm accustomed to is 2-story malls.
That's right. I forgot you grew up. You spent a lot of time in California.
The only mall that we had that was not a 2-story mall was Sunrise Mall. That one was a 1-story mall, but majority of the other big malls in California, they were 2 stories, 3 stories. Like we had a big one that was called Arden Fair Mall, and it was like 3 stories. It was huge. It was like basically going to like an amusement park, and it had so many stores in it. I mean, you could go there, Discovery Channel store, you had the Disney store, had a whole giant food court. I mean, it's amazing.
I'll let you moderate, but Matthew, I'm telling you, man, if you've got massage parlors at the mall in Australia, in multi-stories or whatnot, I'm all in, bro. Fuck Japan.
Oh yeah, of course we do. Here where I live, you can't throw a dog without hitting a massage parlor.
Are you serious?
Yeah, mate. I reckon where I am now, within 15 minutes, there'd be 50 of them.
Oh, Alan, bro. Cyber, we gotta go, bro. Road trip.
MCU on tour.
Yep.
I'd like to go to Australia. I would.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'd love to have you.
Yeah,
I've told Cyber and Alan multiple times, Matthew, all the Australian creators I've ever met have all been really good fucking people.
Yeah, it's not a bad place. It's not a bad place.
The Australia. I look at Australia. They're the. This is going to sound egotistical, and I don't mean it the way it's going to sound.
You're American, yes, you do. It's okay.
It's the closest thing here for me. It's the closest thing to the United States than America. That's not America. Is
that's a compliment, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, because like I can tell a British person by the way they look. I can tell people from other countries. I can even tell people from other states by the way they look. Australians look like Americans.
How do you know I'm not transgender? And I'm not.
Well, I mean, you may be
I'm not an
transgender,
8-year-old girl.
but you're a very ugly
I'm not an 8-year-old
transgender.
girl.
I mean, but I can tell you're from Florida. I mean, I can tell that. Well, not really that you're from
I'm
Florida.
from New York, motherfucker. Come on,
Yeah,
now.
but you live in Florida. You're Florida man.
Yeah, well, these dudes out here that I fought in Florida don't fight like New Yorkers.
Yeah.
I can tell you that right
Well,
now.
and you know, so you can tell the difference. Like I can tell, like British has the nose, but the Australians, I'm not gonna say you guys act like Americans. I would see myself better comfortable in Australia than I would see myself in other countries, just because you guys do racing, you guys do the crazy stuff that we do. You guys have the land, how do I call it? You know, you guys have the land like we do. You have so much land.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, like
I would have bagged an originity or whatever the fuck they're called.
You know, yeah. Well, they got that too.
I gotta leave that alone. I'm gonna leave that one alone.
You know,
Sometimes
yeah, look,
it may
I
be
think-
good, sometimes it may be shit.
Yes, absolutely. No, I think that because we're relatively young as a country, like we're only 200 and we're not even 240 years old, really.
Yeah, we're not either.
So it's you know, we're not very old in terms of culture. So we do take from a lot of different cultures, and we're a bit of a melting pot here, right? So I think that I agree. I think we probably in terms of race, I think we probably relate a lot more to Americans than anyone else, because we do have a lot of the same. I guess we enjoy a lot of the same pastimes. Like we're a very sporting country. Australia's very sporting, pride themselves a lot on sport and outdoors and that kind of stuff. So I think that there's a lot of like parallels there. A lot of the Americans that I've met here in Australia that I've worked with or that I've become friends with, it's very easy to gel with them. So I think that look, we're very chill here.
Good point, Matthew. Really is. Cyber, I'm telling you, man. I tried to start a while ago, and I'm gonna try to reintegrate it going again. I tried to put together like the Australia UK sort of like, you know, group of creators we could kind of, Matthew knows, we kind of collaborate with and whatnot and everything, and try to swap ideas. And I haven't lost contact with any of the creators I've talked to, but I even come across some. I did some reaction videos with a couple people who know Matthew, right, and whatnot and everything over in Australia and whatnot and everything that I fucked up, of course, and like, you know, because the StreamYard's bullshit. This thing with Matthew wasting their time, but coming back to doing reaction videos. But his reaction was coming back, baby. And Alan's ass and Matthew are coming in there. So just like Cyber. But no, I'm telling you, every creator I've talked to over there, they're good people, man. Like, I mean, honestly, that's why I always say if I'm going to go anywhere, it'd be Japan and Australia. I don't know about you, Cyber. If you had to go hop to another country and go spend a year or two and whatnot, where would you go?
That's a hard one because there's a couple places there's a couple countries that I really, really would like to go to, especially because my ancestry is from there. Is either Ireland or Scotland, because those two places I have a lot of ancestry to them. So you know, my family's name in Scotland is McDonald, and I'm Ronald. So I mean, I'd be Ronald McDonald. So you know, it's funny as hell.
It fits.
So I mean, I think that it would be great to go over there to those places. So
that's the best thing. My weekend is done. That's it. Ronald McDonald wearing his orange hat.
Yeah. So. All right. Thank you, guys. All right, so back to Mallrats.
Not the person, but the other guy fell out of the truck.
The body did, but the other person.
I hope Corey was fucking the shirt, bro.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Cyber. I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all good, folks. All right. Thank you, guys. All right, so coming up to the wonderful fortune-telling scene. So, of course, the actress that plays the fortune teller is Priscilla Barnes, who is been actress for years and years. And even in 1995, I mean, she was definitely, if I recall right, she was in her late 50s, early 60s when she did that role. So, I mean, she looked fantastic for her age. But that whole sequence, the fortune teller sequence, is so sick and funny, and I absolutely love it. And basically, you know, as you go into it, it's like TS is very skeptical about it, but Brody's all about it. And, you know, they get there and they're, you know, they go in and they start talking and stuff like that. And, you know, still very skeptical. TS has to pay for it too after not really wanting to do it. He pays for it, and then they get into it, and then TS starts to become the believer, and then Brody doesn't become because of the whole third nipple thing, which that whole third nipple thing kind of makes me think of the three breast and Total Recall a little
Total
bit.
Recall, baby.
100%.
Oh yeah.
Even though it's, you know, it's not technically a third breast, but it's that third nipple. I think it's absolutely funny because that's my first thought was when I first saw this film was Total Recall. It made me think of, and so, you know, Brody's kind of eyeing that. He's looking at it going, oh my God, that's, you know, disgusting type of deal. And, you know, of course, you know, TS is really getting into this and believing it and everything. And so it's like afterwards, it's like TS believes it, but Brody doesn't, which was super funny how it just kind of totally did a 360 for both of them. And basically that ends up giving TS the idea of going and jumping on the game show to be able to win Brandy back. So let's talk a little bit about the fortune teller scene before we get to the kind of the conclusion of the film. What did you guys think about Priscilla Barnes? What did you think about that little scene in the film? Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? What was kind of your first thoughts? Maybe the first time you saw it versus watching it now, and all that kind of stuff. We'll start with Jeff this time first. Jeff, would you like to talk, sir?
Bangable. Total Recall. Bangable. Enough said.
There's a world-class answer for you folks out there watching this, either on rewatch or live. Perfect Jeff answer. Beautiful, Jeff. Loved it. So nothing else to add to that.
$2, baby. 4 heads of nothing.
All right. All right. So, Alan, your thoughts, sir, on that sequence?
I thought it was good. I mean,
I was like, how do you even follow up with that shit?
You know, I mean, you know, in a way, you know, you're right. She was bangable. Yeah. I mean, I'd hit the fortune teller, you know.
Oh,
Yeah. But yeah, it was the how do I say it? I mean, the third nipple. The third nipple was. And it's funny because I knew somebody with the third nipple, and you know, and that goes back to the parts that I had forgotten about it. I had forgotten completely about the fortune telling sequence. I had forgotten about everything, and it's not so much the sequence. It's not so much what was going on is the sequence of, like you said, when Brody just at the beginning he was all for it, and then he just started going. It was like everything shifted, and it actually, the movie went a different direction because of that. You know, everything shifted around and it went in a different direction, and it all started to fall into place and it all started to make sense. So I mean, overall, I thought the sequence was good. I guess I'm really not explaining or saying much, but I thought it was good. I mean, I'll just let Matt elaborate for me.
Oh my gosh. Before I ask you that, Matt, we'll give you a little leeway between his answer and yours. Just to reiterate where this was filmed, I looked it up. It actually was filmed in Minnesota, actually. Originally, it was supposed to be in Ocean Township, New Jersey, but they ended up going to Eden Prairie Center Mall, which was an abandoned mall in Minnesota, actually. Eden Prairie, Minnesota. So it was a Midwest vibe is what the mall was. So
oh, really?
Yeah, so I don't know if there was supposed to be in Minnesota, the film itself, or if it was just they were just using it as like it's supposed to be California, but it's technically Minnesota, but that's where they actually filmed it. That's where they found the abandoned.
Everything's so
mall.
strange. Matthew, we review all these films. Normally, when a director or when the story's crafted in a way where they don't give you an actual geographical location that tell you the city you're in, it's in a more serious way. So I'm just surprised that I never remember during the whole film ever hearing anybody mention where they're actually at.
Well, if you go back to Jay and Silent Bob, weren't they out from Minnesota? Because they went to Hollywood. So where did they start off at?
Did they start from Jersey?
They started from
Jersey.
New Jersey.
Yeah, they were in Jersey. So
So I think that this technically is supposed to be New Jersey because, like I said, they originally were scouting for New Jersey, but
I'm telling you, the Filoni girl she's trying to do a Jersey accent right there in the initial scene, right there in the jump. That's her version of a Jersey accent. I've got 3 cousins from Jersey, and aunts and uncles from there. Believe me, that's not a Jersey accent.
Definitely not. Yeah, most definitely. But I think it was more of an English accent because that's where she's from. But yeah, definitely. So there's a little knowledge for you guys out there. This was filmed in Minnesota, even though it's supposed to be New Jersey. So I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be New Jersey because Jay and Silent Bob themselves are supposed to be from New Jersey. Yeah, and they were a big integral part of the film. So I think this is supposed to be Jersey, even though it was filmed in Minnesota.
Even though the malls in Jersey and were like that, and in New York City they were like that. They were big 2-3-story malls. So.
This is a really interesting. Michael Rooker was really different in this film than I've ever seen him before than anything else before. I want to just mention that, Cyber. I hadn't even thought about that. I never saw Michael Rooker play any kind of character like that before. Anything.
Really?
Not of that type, I guess.
Yeah, because I feel that Michael Rooker, pretty much most of his films, he usually plays kind of a prick character. Look at him in Cliffhanger, how he reacts, how he is to Sylvester Stallone after that gal dies. That should have never been up there to begin with. It was actually his own fault. And then even in other films I've seen him in, like he was in a film called Henry the Portrait of a Serial Killer, and same character. He was very much pricklish. Pretty much anything I've ever seen him in, he always kind of plays.
You're right. He always is kind of a dick. You're right. Yeah.
Isn't he Yondu?
Yondu's a bit of a dick.
Yeah. And Yondu's a pretty.
That's right. And he played Merle in Walking Dead, folks. And we are on Mondays covering the Dead Distance series. We're episode 3 coming up on Monday. Great so far. Dead City.
Yes, sir. All right. So I gave a little space for Matt here. Your thoughts on the fortune teller scene, sir, please.
Yeah, well, look, on behalf of Alan and myself, we really enjoyed the fortune teller scene. I was the same. I'd forgotten completely about the scene, but as she started to undo the top, I'm starting to think, shit, I started to think something happens here because they made such a deal of it. And then when the third nipple was there, I was like, that's amazing. And I spent the whole time, I actually tuned completely out. I was looking to see which nipple was the real nipple. I'm going, is it the one on the left? Is it the one on the right? Which one is it? And I was blown away by how realistic it looked. And I was just thinking, well, you get 50% more. I'm all over that. Like that I don't know why Brody's freaking out. Like that should make it more interesting, if anything else.
Matthew, they've gotten the artist that drew that fucking Picasso behind me right there, that whole shit, whatnot, everything, whatnot. It'd be worth millions.
Yeah.
They probably bought that at Big Lots.
Yes. Yeah, that was bought at that flea market next to Ivana's bloody topless bloody tarot readings. I did like the shift where Brody's been this super confident, like has all the answers. He's the man, and he just shits himself, and then it actually sort of transfers to Quint being okay. Now he's got his mission. He knows what he wants. Yep. I did like that shift because up until then, Quint was a bit of a sap, and he was like, and whereas Brody was the man, and whilst it was only just really for that scene where he was super uncomfortable, which was excellent. I thought that was really cool. A really good shift, a tonal shift there, and the fact at the end he goes, I didn't even realize that she had a third nipple. I'm like, fuck off, mate. There is no, I couldn't give a shit if she was giving you the most sound knowledge on planet Earth.
Yeah.
There is no way. I barely heard a sound that whole scene. I was focused on the third nipple. That's all I saw. Everything else was superfluous.
Also, who farts during head? Like, I'm sorry, but I don't ever remember that ever occurring in my entire fucking life. Like, was that a trend back then?
Well, okay. Look, in 1995, it was not a trend, Jeff. It was not something that was done. It was not something that went through whatever the Reddit of 1995 was. It said that head farters, the head farting page. That was not a thing. But look, I think that it's. I think if it's really, really good, maybe at the moment of the money shot, that maybe the release in the middle. I don't get. You can control yourself in the middle. At the end, there we go.
What about when they're talking about the mall right in the beginning, and they're talking about how like if Superman fucked Lois and impregnated her, it would fucking
That was funny.
And shit whatnot.
Yeah.
Right? And Jason Lee's character says fucking basically like what? He basically says you need Wonder Woman's uterus for super to knock that shit out or whatever, that was fucking dope.
Yeah. I do like it when kryptonite condom that would kill him.
Yep.
I like if her stomach was in the sun, it'd kick itself out of the stomach.
Who writes this shit? Does he just make this shit up? Like, does he just do this shit? I mean, who writes this shit?
But you know what? I really like it. Yeah, but I really like it. That's shit that people talk about, that inane, ridiculous, stupid shit that when mates get together and they're shooting the shit, they just talk about bullshit. And that just epitomized that to me, where it's like they're both comic book guys, and then, okay, what about if Superman, had to try to have a baby with Lois? Shit like that happens. I thought that was one of the more real conversations in the movie.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
100%.
You're welcome.
100%.
Well done, Alan.
Yeah.
Well said, Alan. Thank you.
Exactly what I would
Alan,
Well said, Alan.
Alan, you get a participation trophy for that shit, motherfucker.
exactly what I would have said. Yeah.
Great job, Alan. Excellent. Excellent, guys. Excellent. Yeah, I mean, that scene, like I said, that scene was just so fantastic. So funny. And then at the end, after they leave and she pulls off the third nipple and it's like a piece of gum or pepperoni almost, and she chews on it, you're just like, and she's like, it works every time. You're like, what a smart woman. Like, this is just, that was brilliant. That was brilliant. Yeah, because that would totally, I think most men would go in talking to a topless fortune teller, be like staring at that. They would totally lose focus on anything else and they believe everything she said. And,
I would assume I was hitting that shit.
He tipped her at the end as well.
Yep.
Yeah, he did.
So he paid her $60. He tipped her, let's say he's tipped her another $10 or $20. She's made $80 for 4 minutes. She's a multi-quadrillionaire. Like if she's working 5 days a week.
Yeah.
She's got it sussed.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. So yeah, I think that's a fantastic scene. All right. Great job, guys. Great. So basically after that, that's when, like I said, TS basically comes up with a plan to win Brandy back. We have that show them heading back to the mall. And that's basically where we kind of come to the conclusion of the film. This like last part of the film, like the last, I would say 20 minutes or so, is this whole section here. And basically they end up back at the mall. Brody's kind of worried about the guys bumping them out again, and that's when they asked for the aid of Jay and Silent Bob as usual to help them out. And basically they end up crashing the dating show that Brandy's going to be a part of, that's being run by her father. And so basically they have Jay and Silent Bob take care of the other two contestants, so it could be them two and another person. And basically Jay has them get high and stuff, and they end up basically like drugging themselves out. And so Jason Lee or I should say TS and Brody end up becoming the other two panelists along with Brian O'Halloran. We get introduced again to Brian O'Halloran, who was, from Clerks, and he's got kind of this like 90s, like kind of longer hairdo going on, kind of a Don Johnson look. And so it's like, you're kind of like going, oh my God, he just looked horrible with that hairdo compared to how he looked in Clerks. And so it's kind of funny him like with that look. I was kind of like, I'm like, wow, that guy is he trying to look like a douche? Like that's what he just looked like to me. But basically they end up going out and starting the show. They have like the Richard Dawson kind of character guy there that's hosting the show. Basically during this time too is when basically Michael Ricker's character has eaten the chocolate covered pretzels and basically starts to become ill for some reason from the chocolate covered pretzels. And and he's like talking to the like producer guys saying, this show's gonna go good without the hitch and stuff like that. Even though I'm ill, and they're like, shouldn't you be home or something? He's like, oh no, I'm fine. And he's like, he's going, and he's like, keep blowing chunks into the paper bag, which is absolutely hilarious. And just kind of the great revenge you want to get to that prick type of character. And basically, so this dating game show starts, and basically, they start hashing out their relationship on the dating game, Brody and TS and Brandy, and Brian O'Halloran's character, Mr. Hicks, what was his name? It was Gil Hicks. That's right, Gil Hicks. I was right, Hicks. So Gil Hicks, yeah, Gil. He starts like throwing out some answers here and there, and every time he says something, Jason Lee, Brody, like gives him shit, which was absolutely hilarious. And so basically throughout this whole thing, like, finally TS actually proposes to her. Brandy agrees to it. And they have like kind of like a happy thing where they start making out. And of course, Brody's still dealing with Ben Affleck's character Shannon, and having to do with his character Renee, him wanting her get her back and stuff like that. And so he uses, with the help of Trisha's video of them canoodling together, to get him thrown into jail. And so he ends up back with Renee, and he even's going to introduce her to his mom. And so basically after, kind of they have their, both of them kind of have their happy ending type of deal. It basically goes to like kind of like a post-credit thing. And it shows like now Brody is now hosting the Tonight Show, and Renee is his band leader. And then of course, TS and Brandy got married after graduation on the Jaws ride, in Universal Studios in Florida. And basically it says we actually get to see Ethan Suplee again, and it says blah 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 finally gets to see the sailboat, which was absolutely hilarious. And he's like, really? And basically the movie ends. So what were you guys' thoughts on that final sequence of the film? What did you enjoy about it? Was there anything you didn't like? If there wasn't nothing like, what was your favorite? Just overall, what were your thoughts on the whole conclusion? Kind of like all the scenes. Was there any particular scene that really stood out for you? Some lines, some thought process, anything like that? Just give me your full thoughts on kind of that conclusion of the film. Let's start with you, Alan.
You forgot one part. Jay and Silent Bob attacked the Easter Bunny.
Yes.
So that part was funny. And
well, that was during the skit section of the film, and I did mention it.
Oh, you did? I wasn't listening. See, Matt, you got me in trouble again.
It's not Matt's fault.
You didn't put that in the notes here, Matt. Come on.
Sorry, mate. I forgot.
I think Alan was still
mesmerized
by the third nipple.
Yeah. No, the third nipple. I'm still thinking about that. Yes.
But if you'd like to talk about the Easter scene.
Well, no. I mean, the Easter scene was funny, and I did like the security guard's hat. He had the little top hat.
LaFour's.
Yeah, he had. And I mean, it went really quick. Like this last time around when I watched it, it seemed to go really quick. I mean, it was like they went through they got arrested, they come back, they go to the game show, they do the game show thing. He gets sick, he eats the pretzels, the stink hand. You know, it all happened so quick. And then, for me, the favorite part for me was the end with Jay Silent Bob with Suzanne.
Yeah,
because Suzanne she continues on with them all the way through the next 3 movies. You know, so I thought Suzanne, yeah. And I'll let Matt finish.
Was there a particular sequence you liked the most?
Sequence. I'd have to say the Easter Bunny. I like the Easter Bunny. I like the Easter Bunny. You know?
I think honestly, through listening to you guys talk, I just want to put it out there for Alan that I now realize I have to watch these other films so I can understand the whole concept, because I watched this. I found a lot of the humor it worked for me. I like the raunchy humor. I love it. But they do it so flippantly. It's almost like a back and forth conversational type of style.
Mm-hmm.
It's such contrast to how people are nowadays with humor, right? That it's almost flippant, and that vibe just doesn't do anything for me. Does that make sense, Alan?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It makes sense. Yeah, it makes. I mean, you got to be careful how you do things now. You know, compared to, you know, I mean, what was the plan? What was Ben Affleck? The plan was that he was going to have anal sex. I mean,
Yeah,
that was the plan.
Yeah.
You know, that was a big part of it. You know, nowadays, you know, you gotta be careful with that shit. You know,
I just did love the chick last night.
You know,
she's right here. This is her shit.
Oh, damn.
That's why the doll's deflated.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. I did just do it last night, but I couldn't even finish, to be honest with you. I was too tired and exhausted. So this is actually from the stripper that I just, when I was strip clubs at Cyberdose, I just read books and have a drink or two. This was the stripper in Tampa that thought she could fuck with me a little bit, whatnot, and get some money out of me. Well, she left this for me after I got done with her ass. So there you go. The guy who reads the book at the strip club at the corner, still he don't have to pay to get laid.
There you go, folks. There you go.
That's
right.
life lessons from true knowledge.
Yes, there you go. Life
Look,
lesson.
hey, I walked right in front of the hotel desk today and whatnot, everything. And I'm telling you right now, if not for the respect for the rules of the workplace and whatnot, there's a fine Christian chick that was across from me just like me that I'd love to, you know, okay, USA with. You feel me?
True. Before we move on from you, Alan, what did you think of the Stan Lee scene?
The Stan Lee. I thought it was good. I mean, I thought it was good. I mean, I thought it was good now because I knew who Stan Lee was. At the time, he was Stan Lee, okay, you know. But now it was like, and like we were talking about before, you know, it was a long scene. It wasn't just him going, hey, or driving the thing or whatever, you know. It was kind of like when he was in The Simpsons, you know, he was actually part of the whole thing. So it was, you know, it was cool. Him giving love advice, you know, it was, I like this time around. It was a lot more impactful than it was when I first saw it. You know,
excellent. Thank you, sir. Awesome. All right, Matt. Same question, sir. Your thoughts on the end sequence? If there's anything else you also like to talk about, the Stan Lee scene or any other scenes that happen in that little section there, go ahead.
Well, I don't think we've talked about the rabbit, so I'd like to sort of hit on that one, the assassination of the rabbit.
Okay.
No. One thing we haven't mentioned at all the whole podcast is Silent Bob's use of the Force. and
Oh
and
yes,
how there's some stakes at the end there where we're waiting for Bob to use the Force, which is ultimately never going to happen. And Ethan Suplee comes and saves the day, and he bumps the cassette up into his hand. I felt towards the end there was actually some stakes in the movie that I sort of bought into. I wanted both of them to get back together, and I knew they were going to, but I wanted them to. I found it was a bit odd. Like, I found it was odd that she didn't realize that the two of them were two of the suitors straight away. Like, it's that fucking obvious that they're both there, right? And it's not until she starts, like, she thinks she's fucking Sherlock Holmes, and she's like, oh, something about comic books, and Brody, it's like, oh, you got me, fuck. Like, it's so obvious that we're there. But I found it hilarious that the whole crowd is so invested in what's going on, right? There's not a sound made. They're living and dying by every single fucking word that's being said on the stage. It's like it's their own daytime soap opera being played out in front of them. And it's as bad as it's going for Michael Rooker. It's actually 1,000 times better for everyone else. And I really enjoyed that part of it this time. I love that, because I was thinking, when they introduced Patricia, she's 15, and I'd forgotten about the end again. I'd forgotten that she played such a poignant part in the end. And then I did you could tell that it probably took 25 takes, because when Affleck gets arrested and Brody comes over to go, you're going to a place where you're going to be, you're going to have sex somewhere very uncomfortably. And you can tell Ben Affleck's face, he's laughing, like he's got this cheesy fucking grin on his face that you can tell it could be take 30 that they've tried that he's trying to hold it together. But yeah, I thought, and I'm a bit the same. I love the song, the Suzanne song, when it comes over and it goes through the credits and then it runs through. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, I thought the ending, it happens really pretty quickly, as you said, Alan. I think it happens really quickly, but there's stakes along the way, which I was actually more invested in than I'd care to admit. And I thought it was a really good ending, for sure. And I'll tack on with Stan Lee. I really like the Stan Lee scene, because it's obvious that Quint's gone, well, I've got to now save Brody, because Brody's not going to save himself because he's so fucking useless. So he's got Stan Lee to go and talk to him, and Stan Lee does his thing. But then when Stan Lee comes back and he goes, oh, how'd it go? And he goes, yeah, I think it went really well. I did the Spider-Man, da-da-da-da. And Quint just it's like, shut up, nerd. You've done your job. He just dismisses him and just moves on. I thought that was really fucking cool as well. Yeah. I don't want to know how you fucking did it. You just did it. Move on, right? We've got bigger things to play here. Yeah. So it's funny. Loved it.
Yeah, definitely. And I like how throughout the whole film, there's a lot of Marvel and DC references.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when Jay and Silent Bob are running away from the floor, and they use the Batarang to get up the side of the building, which was absolutely hilarious and totally a DC reference there, another comic reference. But yeah, I mean, there are so many crazy things that happen at the end of this film that you just can't. There's so much of it, and it does go by so quickly, especially in the theatrical cut. Because if you ever get a chance to watch the extended cut, which is basically the director's cut, it's actually 30 minutes longer. So you actually get 2 full hours of Mallrats if you watch this. And it actually makes a lot more sense when they added that half an hour back in to a lot of these little subplots that you don't understand. They just recently came out with the extended cut for the Arrow release of Mallrats on Blu-ray, and there's actually a whole intro beginning sequence that leads up to when TS goes to see Brandy at the beginning of the film. There's more extended sequence where TS is at Brody's house. There's more extended subplot with a judge and a governor and all kinds of stuff that really helped the movie be even more fun. And I think if they had released that version in theaters back in 95, I think it would have done a lot better in theaters with this cut. And it's just amazing. It's such a great cut. And I prefer that one over the theatrical cut, hands down, because there's so much more that they add that was so much funnier to it. But there's so many things, like I said, that happened at the very end of this film. I mean, between the the game show itself, Silent Bob trying to use the Force to get the tape that fell, to just the Force being used in general throughout the whole entire film, him like trying to make the cigarette cup to his hand and stuff like that. So I mean, there's a lot of those like Star Wars references throughout the whole entire film as well, which was super funny. And I think Michael Rooker, I don't think gets enough credit for how good he was as kind of like the main villain of the film besides LaFleur. And I appreciate what he did with that character and how he presented it and how he, is kind of like this devious evil type of dude that like is trying to stop TS from, being with his daughter and stuff. And it's like, it's so funny, like how he plays it compared to how he played like in Cliffhanger just a couple years earlier. And, he just is such a great force, and I absolutely loved him in this film. But overall, the whole sequence, I really enjoyed it too. I thought it was really well done. And all the great, things that happened to it, especially, in that post-credit sequence, where it shows Shannon has gone to prison and he's getting, raped in places that are, uncomfortable and stuff like that they have, where that hand slides over his and it says love and stuff like that, which was absolutely hilarious. And of course, Trisha having that bestseller book from all of her exploits there that we, we find out about her throughout the film. And just want to mention that gal that played that character, she was 20 at the time she made this movie. So she wasn't really 15 for those out there. So she was of age, so don't worry about that, folks. And she was really great. And actually, it's funny, her real name is Renee Humphreys, which is it's funny. I think Shannon Doherty's character actually was kind of a reference to her real name, being named Renee too as well. So I think that's funny. All right. So, Mr. Jeff, your answer, sir.
Well, so she was of age, unlike the Jay's during our Ahsoka review. Jay's premature of age Ahsoka that he had over there in his background or whatnot. You remember, Alan? No fuck laws in space, baby. Right?
No,
ain't no fuck laws in space, bruh. You know what I'm saying? Right? Yeah. That's right. Anyways, inside joke, folks. But no, I just thought, again, not having taken in the whole, I guess, trilogy almost, or the kid to other films. I had a hard time taking it seriously when they got serious, right? As sort of a contrast to the humor. It fell flat for me. It really did. And again, maybe I might have liked the characters more if I had seen the films, but overall the humor was good. And I love the 90s, so I have nothing bad to say about the film. I just wanted to play the beginning of some Stan Lee talk over the Marvel Studios Celebrates the Movies deal, whatever. Matthew, I don't know if you ever heard this before. The Marvel Studios Celebrates the Movies. Check this out.
I love being with people. It's the most incredible thing in the world.
What are you doing? Oh, this is nice.
That world may change and evolve, but the one thing that will never change, we're all part of one big family. Next to you, he's your brother. That woman over there, she's your sister.
Higher, further, faster, baby.
That's right.
We're all part of one universe.
Wakanda forever!
That moves ever upward and onward to greater glory.
On your left.
Avengers!
Yeah, baby, who are you, bitch? All right. Matthew, what did you have your Endgame moment? And what did you think of that Stan Lee part? That part there, I think that is almost just. I don't care how many times I play it. It touches my heart.
I just got shivers watching the Avengers Assemble thing again. I think it's one of the greatest moments of my movie watching life. Like I've had some memories in the movies, but that, and we Australians are a little bit more reserved in the cinema, so there wasn't all the hooting and hollering. But I saw Endgame twice on the first day. I saw it at the 10 a.m. session that it opened, and I saw it and I saw it again. I took my wife and my son and my daughter back that night to watch it again, and had the same reaction both times. Like that.
That's
really
crazy. You saw it twice the same day. I saw it 3 times. I saw it so I could see with both my kids.
Yeah, when Falcon says on your left, that is just fucking unbelievable. Like it's, and I don't know, nothing. And on Born to Watch, we talk. There's 2 of us that are big on the MCU and on superhero stuff, and there's 2 of us that aren't, and they don't get it. And I just keep saying to them, you've got to watch. Like I'll give you 7 MCU movies to watch. Just watch them and take the journey, and by the end of it, you'll go, I understand. And I think that there's obviously something that's inside Stan Lee to be able to create these characters that get to be able to draw from that to get to those moments. And you sort of see bits of it when he does his cameos, and you sort of see bits of it in this movie as well. But yeah, I don't think that, it's going to have to go a long way to compare to On Your Left and that whole Avengers Assemble bit. That's just fucking incredible cinema.
Yeah.
As a massaging parlor, they come to the left. So you know, but Alan,
depends what side they stand, mate.
And how tight the room is. Sometimes it's so small. Right? Alan, before I go to Cyber, your Avengers Endgame moment. And then what do you think of Stan Lee?
That sequence that you showed there with Stan Lee, that was pretty cool. I had never seen that. So that was pretty cool.
Haunting almost, isn't it? It's not haunting, but it's inspirational.
But the Avengers Assemble, I mean, it was for me it was unexpected. Because it was like, how are they going to get out of this? How are they going to, because he brought everybody back, and then they went to war, and then, they kind of left that in the back burner, and there was so much going on. Then you're like, what's going on? How is this going to happen? And then suddenly, they all just appear out of everywhere. That for me, that was unexpected, and it was perfect. I mean, it was perfect, like you said, on your left and all that. And, it was just, that and then him catching the hammer and then saying Avengers Assemble. That it's like I spent 12 years watching these movies. Here's the money shot. This is it. It was well worth it.
Cyber, I can't remember what you thought. I'm sorry, Matthew.
No, I was just going to say just that. Then to go to I Am Iron Man at the end of the snap.
Yeah.
And then take it all the way back to 2008 with what really began with him saying, I am Iron Man at the end of the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to do that, like that's pretty fucking special, right? I don't give a fuck what people think about superhero movies and all that kind of stuff. Like that's you got to tip your hat to that.
This is all set up.
25, 30 minutes is just it's
Matthew, I set you up right there.
Yeah.
Cyber knows. Cyber, my last question was, do you want Alan and Matthew to join with us, with Andres, to rock out and finish our Infinity Saga review series and do Infinity War, Endgame, and Spider-Man 3? We have to finish it, folks. Matthew, Alan, we got to finish that bitch. We got 3 more movies to go to wrap up our whole review series of the whole Infinity Saga that we've got, right?
We got more than that.
We have 4?
I think like 5.
Okay. Either way, Alan, Matthew, you guys should come on with us and do Endgame, Infinity War with us and whatnot. We'd love to have you.
Yeah.
Sure, that'd be awesome.
The Cyber, it's been a minute, man. What was your moment like? And what did you think of Stan Lee in the movie? and hearing him contrasting, hearing him in that older Stan Lee.
I mean, honestly, it didn't really do much for me, for the Stan Lee thing. I mean, I've heard him talk several different times and different things and stuff like that. So, I mean, it just sounded like Stan Lee talked to me. I mean, Stan Lee was awesome. He was just an amazing guy. I wish I could have met at one of his conventions before he passed. But at the same time, I think, anything he says is just really, it's gold. It is gold. But I don't think, at the same time, I think that each person has an individualized way of appreciating him saying certain things. And I think not everyone's going to be that like hoo-ha about it or get that certain feeling. I think a lot of people are just going to be like, oh, yes, I get it. I understand it. I appreciate the words that Stan Lee said. And that's how I always interpreted it. Like I enjoy it, but I don't like get any particular feeling from it. It's Stan Lee and he's awesome.
I agree. He's so casual about the things he says. He's not trying to be heroic. But anyway, Cyber, my rating for the movie is a 7.5.
Okay. All right. Okay. So he gives it a 7.5, people. 7.5. He can't give it a 7. Can't give it an 8.
Let's go to 7.75.
Or a 7.75. 7.5. No, nothing wrong with that. That's a good score. That's a good score, sir. Really good. I just didn't finish talking about the question you asked me, but that's okay.
Cyber, finish your question, please. Your moment, Endgame, in the theater.
Well, I saw it 3 times in theaters, and definitely I think the scene that got me the most was when Iron Man says, "I am Iron Man," and his death. That was probably the most epic scene for me for the film. 1, because I hated they killed him off. 2, it just was so iconic because him being in the first film of the MCU, saying that line, it was epic at the time in 2008, and at the same time, it just hits you right there. When Falcon says "on your left," that didn't really get me at all. It didn't put any emotion there. But when everyone does come through the portals, I was kind of like, oh, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome, most definitely. But I definitely have to say that my Avengers moment definitely was his death. It definitely was fantastic. How they did it. It was very well done. It was well constructed. And it was just a great OD to the whole MCU up to that point. Yeah, so that's my answer. All right, so Mr. Jeff gives it a 7.5. Alan, what would you give it as a rating, Mallrats, sir?
Mallrats, I'd say a 9. I'd give it a 9.
Nice. Okay, excellent. Matt, same thing, rating?
Yeah, it's a hard one. It's one of those ones where it's nostalgia. So I know Jeff gives it 7.5, which I thought is pretty high for someone seeing it for the first time, in 2023. But I'm going to go in between. I'm going to go 8.5. I really enjoyed it. I think it's great. I watched. It took so long to watch it again. It won't be that long again. That's for sure. I'm interested now to watch the director's cut.
Yes.
Yeah, the director's
I'll
cut
be going
is
and looking for
fantastic.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, if you get a chance to watch the director's cut out there, folks, it definitely worth watching that. Especially if it's your first time, you'll get a lot better understanding out of it if you watch the director's cut, most definitely. Because actually, when Kevin Smith had to edit it for theatrical release, he actually cut out quite a bit that he wanted to keep in the film to give it a more sleeker runtime in the theaters for 1995. So his director's cut, if you listen to the commentary and stuff like that, he's very happy he got to release it finally, so that people could see it in its full potential. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff to add that they added into it that it was so much fun. It's worth the 2-hour watch. So I would give this a giant 10 for me. It's one of my favorites of Kevin Smith's, besides Dogma, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, Strikes Back, Clerks 2. Those are like my all-time favorites of his. So I think that this one's way up there for me. And I think it's just a really solid film. Great writing, great acting by all, great cast. And for 1995, I mean, rewatching it today, I feel that even, it being almost 30 years old, it still looks really pristine. It looks good for a 1995 film because I've seen some films, other films from 95, 96, 93, 94 that look older than some movies from the 80s. It's so weird how some of the video cameras or the videos, the type of film they used at certain times, which it just looks so much older than other things 20 years older than it. So I think it's funny how they used really good quality film for this and it still looks really pristine. So I was really lucky for looking for that, and it was great to see that. All right, folks, so that is the end of the Mallrats review. I want to thank everyone for watching. You guys are rocking it, and you guys are awesome. And want to thank you for watching, and those who will watch this later after it's not streaming. And of course, we'll do plugs and get the hell out of here. So I'll let you take that away, Jeff.
I'm on top of it, sir. I've got it. It's like that underwear I bought that was Teddy Whitey's instead of my regular boxer briefs. That was a real good move. I look very sexy, but I'll keep that for the Patreon as well. Not as sexy as Prime Minister Dundee is, though, unfortunately.
No, President Dundee's the man.
Matthew, am I even on the wrong? Am I on the right
that's
channel?
it. That's it. That's Born to Watch. That's
I'm
it.
kidding. I'm joking. What we got going on here, bro? What did we do in your first live stream?
Yeah, look, we're moving towards that. It's I'm trying to convince. I've got 3 on board. I've just got to get the 4th guy on board. So we are close to live stream. Obviously, we're an audio podcast at this point in time. We have started to record video, so I will be starting to release episodes that have been recorded in the studio onto YouTube, so that all our tens of fans can see our faces and appreciate the attractiveness that we bring. We've actually started to rev up a little bit on YouTube, doing a lot of shorts and a lot of behind the scenes docos and all that kind of stuff that we're repurposing. A very special one there. That's that one there, the Dirty Dancing little short reel that we did.
That's good one. That's good one.
For marketing purposes for our Dirty Dancing episode. But please have a look at Born to Watch on wherever you stream your podcast from, and check out our YouTube channel and join the team. We're having a lot of fun.
Holy shit, baby. You got 40K views off Jaws? Nice job.
Yeah. I've had some really the shorts really sort of kicked off the channel, really. Like, started with no subscribers, and we're doing quite well, nearly at 2,000 now. So,
I mean, shit, you hit 1,000 quick.
Yeah, we did actually. So it's been, it's not easy, as we all know, but have a lot of fun doing it, testing and seeing what works.
Yeah, I've been doing this since 2017, and I still haven't hit 1,000 yet. So it's a rough. It can be a rough, and the definitely the shorts, when they finally introduced them, really have made a difference. That's when my thing started. Yeah, that's when my thing started to move up pretty well.
Yeah,
and that's
definitely use the shorts.
And that's what's crazy too, folks. And Matt and Alan, is that Cyber and I met on a platform called Rizzle, where we made short form content. Cyber knew a lot more in the game about the game than I did. I didn't realize that legitimately. I mean, I put up views, and Cyber has put up views on platforms that were kind of obscure before, but they were tangible. What I'm saying? We made individual content before, we have and whatnot, and that's how we met. Was on Rizzle. Honestly, back then, short form content wasn't the biggest thing, right, Cyber? It wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't the bee's knees.
The pandemic really is what started really making it making it become a big thing, was when that happened.
No, it's crazy. Really, it's when we did it, it was not in vogue. But Alan, Blake, look at the podcast for my brothers. What's up?
Not much. Hey, I see. Damn, I need to change my shirt. I wear the same shirt all the time.
Is that still going on, man? Do you need laundry detergent?
Yeah. I went to Walmart and bought like 5 of the same pair. They were $5. I was like, fuck it, I'll buy them. basically, we're just a pot. We're just three guys that just sit there and shoot the shit. We really don't have an agenda per se. We just talk about everything. It'll be like three guys sitting on a couch somewhere just watching TV and shooting the shit. We just come up with whatever. We
folks, just watch the MCU's Bleeding Edge reaction videos, the Bleeding Edge reactions I've done with the Blessing Collective podcast, and you'll see all you need to see.
We don't. That's basically it. Subscribe and listen to us if you want to.
That's what Alan said.
It's free. So
they said Alan doesn't even talk.
No, I don't. I don't. I mean, this is the most talking I do. I don't say much during the podcast. I don't need to. I mean, Fred and Matt they know what they're doing. I just do fart sounds and smile.
and Matt carries you.
Yeah. See, it works. Matt carries me in our podcast, and Matt carries me here. So, man,
it's a Matt thing.
Yeah, it's a Matt thing. I'm good.
Cyber, sir, you're grinding away. I've noticed.
What releases, reviews?
Yes, content-wise.
Yeah, I mean, I finally have been able to get some reviews done. I just don't. I never really have time to do it because I'm always busy with work, and on my days off, I usually don't have much time to myself. So, I've made it a huge effort to get more stuff filmed so that I have stuff to put up for you guys. So as you can see there, if you enjoy me here as a moderator on the MCU's Bleeding Edge, definitely go check out my solo content under Cybernetic Shark as well. As you can see, my most recent reviews is there: The Haunted Mansion and The Equalizer 3, Gran Turismo Strays. All great movies. Definitely worth a watch there, seeing my thoughts and ideas on them. Just went and saw Expendables 4 today, so I'll have a review for that up eventually. Have a mini review of it up, so definitely check that out if you get a chance. And just been having fun trying to grind at this stuff for you guys, get more stuff up on a more consistent rate for you guys. Still at 696. Hopefully get to that 700 mark here. And, just keep on grinding. I thank you to all the new people that have recently subscribed to me. You guys are rocking it. And we'll get there eventually. Just keep on grinding. Thank you for watching, and get more stuff up.
We're getting there, folks. Cyber is getting to 1,000 by the end of the year. If I have to suck She-Hulk's dick 3 times, it will happen. I promise. I will stay in my cage for a whole week if I have to. And we're 2 dog power. Right? Just make sure it happens. It will happen. But hey, folks, we love you all out there. Matthew, Alan, Cybernetic Shark, thank you very much. I needed a good night to enjoy a good time with my friends. Mallrats was good. Cybernetic Shark, you want to take us out, sir?
And as always, people, you can catch us live here on Wednesdays, live on Fridays at 9:35 p.m. Eastern times. This upcoming week, we have Ahsoka episode 6. Is it? Yes, episode 6. I'll be moderating that. And then next Friday, we'll be reviewing
Coming to America on Saturday.
Coming to America on Saturday that week, because Mr. Jeff will be at a concert on Friday. So next Saturday, we'll be reviewing Coming to America, the great Eddie Murphy film. Oh, such a great movie.
Great movie.
Yeah.
That's right. We still got 2 spots for the panel as of right now.
Yeah, 2 spots left, people. So come on down, come and watch.
Ahsoka's good as hell. Matthew, you said you're going to come on and do a Ahsoka episode with us, right?
Yeah, definitely. Want to do an Ahsoka one for sure.
Episode 5 was a blast, huh?
Yeah, it was.
I'm enjoying it. I think it's a great show.
Yeah, I think it's a good show.
Are you following it too?
Oh, yes.
Episode 5 was something else. Epic.
And
hell yeah.
And Andor's coming out again. So.
Oh, I know. I can't wait. Andor. Don't mention Andor, please. Anyways, folks, we love you. God bless you. We'll see you next time. Matthew, thank you for joining us all the way from down under, brother. We appreciate you.
Heck yeah.
It's a pleasure, mate.
Out,
the future's fine.
Yes.
Just let a man breathe and just hush so my mind could just cease so my mind don't erupt. At times I feel I can't get enough, but I sip a double cup and I spin a couple bucks. Sending out some love to my blood, to my girl, to my buds, to the homie up above.